Welcome to Big Blues Adventures. Today we're going to take a little bit of a different take, focusing on 2024, one of the most dangerous years for flying in recent times. January 2024, Haneda, Japan. A350 coming to land while a Coast Guard aircraft on a rescue mission lines up on the taxiway. Lines up on the runway. This is obviously not going to go well. The aircraft coming into land hit the rescue aircraft, knocking it in half. 12 of the passengers and crew on the aircraft did die. On the A350, remarkably, all 367 and 12 passengers and 12 crew survived. Later on in January 16th to be precise, Alaska Airlines 1282 taking off from Portland. Just as it was halfway into the climb, one of the rear doors blew out. This door on the 777-9, as it's such a long aircraft, has a multitude of options. For them at Alaska, this wasn't meant to be a door that came out. When the door had been fitted after moving in chairs, etc., into the cabin, the door plug had not been fitted correctly. Subsequently, they found later that Spirit Aerosystems, who produced that part of the aircraft, had not installed the door plugs correctly or had the requisite checks to ensure that it was securely fitting. This going to lead to further damages, claims against Spirit Aerosystems, Boeing, and to Alaskan. This will take a number of years to be litigated. United Airlines was also a major buyer of the 737 MAX 9, and they are also taking action against Boeing for this issue. A Boeing whistleblower said that he meant to take a flight with Alaskan and had asked several times whether the aircraft was a 737 MAX 9, being assured it wasn't. When he got to the seat, he found out it was. He left the aircraft because he said that it wasn't something that he could talk about when challenged by the crew. This says something, that a senior manager at Boeing who's worked for 20 years and doesn't want to fly on one of their flagship aircraft. There's an issue there. Later on in May, Charleston police found that Mr. Burnett, a whistleblower of Boeing, was found dead. Obviously, the coroner ruled it as a suicide, but members of the family and friends insisted that he had said that if he was found dead, it was not a suicide. Again, seeming that there may be some issues there. In 2021, United Airlines released the following statement: "Our flight deck should reflect the diverse group of people on board our planes every day. That's why we plan for 50% of our pilots we train in the next decade to be women or people of colour." Since Scott Kirby made that announcement, people from top universities have been overlooked for universities that have very diverse workforce, diverse cohorts, because they're trying to increase this diversity. Issues with that is that in 2024 alone, there have been a number of incidents that would not have happened and have not happened when that was not their policy. Pilot error led to a rudder being stuck on the aircraft, on February 6th. On the 19th of February, damaged wing, also again due to pilot error. Engine issues on March 4th due to maintenance failure and checking procedures. Pilot error, plane went onto the grass while preparing for departure. Again, not the right look and what you expect your pilot to do on a day that isn't wet and wasn't extremely windy. On the 7th of March, a wheel actually fell off as the plane took off. Again, when there's 2, 3, or even 4 people that should have taken part in the installation, checking the work, and then the pilot looking around before taking off, there's some really big issues there with their procedures. On the 15th of March, there was a missing panel found on the aircraft. And finally, on the 18th of March, the chief executive finally apologised for the shortcomings and mistakes from the company. 737 MAX is not the only aircraft that we've had issues with this year. The 777X has been delayed again to at least 2027 for passenger service and could be put back as far as 2030. This may happen due to the reduction in the number of staff at the Renton and Everett plants. In October 2024, Reuters said thousands of Boeing staff will be laid off within weeks. The acting US Labour Secretary, Julie Su, first meeting comes days after Boeing unveiled plans to cut 17,000 jobs and thus reduce its burden by $5 billion. This is not the only time that they've done this. In 2019-2020, just around the pandemic, they also cut thousands of jobs and they didn't get their qualified engineers back. When you let go of your most qualified engineers and then don't try and hire them back or fail to hire them back when you restart, you're going to have lack of expertise, which in an engineering issue where micro millimeters are integral into ensuring that your plane flies correctly without incident, then trusting the new novices who do not have 10, 20 or even 40 years experience can lead to issues. Going back to this, in October, 26 of the most qualified skilled engineers were offered $40,000 each to stay for a short 2-year stint to ensure that the training was brought up to standard. Only 9 of them accepted. The issue with Boeing is deep. They have had a decade and a half now of turmoil. Aircraft crashes, fire with batteries on the 777. This is the 3rd aircraft series that they've had ongoing issues. And compared to Airbus, even though Airbus has existed for a lot less time than Boeing, you're looking at 8, 9 or 10 accidents to every accident of Airbus. There's obviously a big culture issue with Boeing, focusing more on cutting the costs rather than looking at passenger safety. And it's important that when it comes to flying that we obviously tell our airlines that we're not happy about this, because if people do not speak out about the issues and how they could affect them, then issues like this will continue and companies will make what they think are good decisions rather than decisions that are right and safe for the flying public. Thank you very much for listening to today's installment. We will be looking forward towards December with an Austrian trip with a number of big names on in terms of resorts, with much video content to come in the following 3 months over the ski season. Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen.